I'm Allison June May, but Governmental Affairs Program Manager, here with Joe Stewart, Chief Advocacy Officer. For this week's Raleigh report, the State Senate came back into session on Monday, took up a few key items before adjourning on Wednesday, and the House is expected to come back for a few days next week before officially adjourning. Looking ahead, according to the adjournment resolution, the General Assembly may plan to return a few times in August, September, October, and twice in November before concluding the 2025 and 26 session.
Yeah, Allison, it looks like at this point, maybe the only time the General Assembly comes back to do any substantive work will be those session dates in November after the election. But we'll have to wait and see if something comes up that necessitates legislative action. Those are dates that there will be a session, so they could technically convene on any of those dates. A couple of bills that came up this week when the Senate was in session that we wanted to mention. House Bill 958 dealt with election law. The Senate put in place, and it did pass with bipartisan margins, but a few changes to election law in North Carolina, shortening the duration for the early voting period, requiring candidates running in a partisan primary be members of that party for a longer period of time, and some security protocols, including allowing the state auditor to come in to a county and do a full audit on the county board of election every couple of years, just to make sure election integrity is being maintained. Another bill, House Bill 268, technically a technical corrections bill for the state budget, intended to make changes that were needed. Some wording was wrong or some other fact wasn't correct in the budget, but a few other things got slipped into this bill too, weren't technically technical corrections. Most notably, I think it would be important to this audience, the Department of Insurance had a pretty serious reduction in money that it was getting from some of the regulatory funds for staffing, about $2.7 million. Almost all of that was restored in the technical corrections bill. A few other things, the legislature moved away from the gubernatorial appointments of certain boards and commissions, a further erosion of the executive branch authority. This Republican-controlled General Assembly has made many of those changes over the last few years, taking away one governor's appointment to the local government commission, which is the entity in the state that oversees the issuance of debt by city and county governments, and also giving greater authority over state property to other council of state agencies currently handled by the Department of Administration, which is a governor's cabinet agency. Now, more of the state property will be managed by the state auditor, the labor commissioner, and the state treasurer. So just a few changes. One thing of note, House Bill 356, as we know, passed the Senate. This contains the provisions that are most significant to us in terms of the IIANC legislative agenda. It is still in the House, not any action taken on it this week, in all likelihood not next week either. It looks like if indeed the General Assembly doesn't come back until November, that's when we'll see that bill taken back up. But we're very confident at that point it will get done. So hopefully everything goes according to plan and everything contained in that bill is ultimately put into law by the end of the year.
Yeah. A couple more items worth mentioning. The Governor's Healthcare Affordability Commission held its first meeting on July 21st. Kicking off discussions on ways to address the rising cost of healthcare in North Carolina.
Yeah, very interesting first meeting. It took about 3 hours to go through the whole agenda. The recording of that meeting is contained in the Raleigh report. Encourage people that want to watch it. You can watch it from the start to the finish. There is one segment, more or less in the middle of the 3 hour period, and we indicate in the Raleigh report what the minute mark is in the video if you want to go directly to it. But it's about a 60-minute presentation on the current healthcare landscape in North Carolina, talking about some of the factors that are driving cost for healthcare consumers in North Carolina. Very interesting. A noted healthcare expert from Duke University does a really thoughtful presentation, talking very candidly and objectively about some of the factors that are driving expense in the healthcare marketplace now.
Nice. Also, for our IIANC members who work with homeowners or condominium associations, there's a new requirement to keep on your radar. Beginning in 2027, HOAs and condominium associations will be required to file an annual report with the North Carolina Secretary of State.
Yeah, interestingly enough, we included also in the Raleigh report this week, linked to a blog put together by an old friend of mine, college buddy, Jim Slaughter, who's a lawyer here in North Carolina, does a lot of work with homeowners associations and condominium groups as well. Thoughtful analysis of what these changes represent. So for any of our members that do business with HOAs or condominium associations, I think it's a good read. We did want to give a shout out to Aubie Knight, the CEO of IIANC, this week the recipient of the Association Executives of North Carolina CEO of the Year Award. Congratulations, Aubie. He was not able to be at the AENC annual meeting as a result of being at another Big I conference in another part of the country. I was able to go and represent IIANC and Aubie at that presentation. But a shout out to one of the most visionary association executives I've ever had the pleasure to work with, someone who's really thoughtful about putting together for our members what they need to be thoughtful about and sensitive around the issues that they're going to face going forward. This week's iHeal Minute, very fortunate to have Lori Mandel. She's the CEO of Carolinas Healthcare for United Healthcare. They are very interested in a particular change in the law relative to level funded health plans and the number of eligible persons that are required for an employer to offer that kind of coverage. It's currently 12. United Healthcare wants it to be 5. Not all of the carriers are in agreement with this change. Legislation did pass the House about this, but has not been taken up in the Senate. But we thought, in fairness, it would be good to give United Healthcare a chance to sort of talk about their perspective on this and how they feel it might benefit the health insurance marketplace in North Carolina. This week, we had a sort of truncated Senate session. Next week, the House will come back to you next week with a Raleigh report. But after that, and the legislature not meeting, unless there is something taken up on one of these dates that have been prescribed in the adjournment resolution, we will not have a Raleigh report if there's nothing to report. And so in all likelihood, you won't see us again until after next week, until November. But you will see us next Friday here for the Raleigh report. Well, we're fortunate today to be joined by Lori Mandel, who's the CEO for the Carolinas Health Plan for United Healthcare, for this installment of the iHeal Minute. Lori, how are you today?
I am great, Joe. How are you? And thanks for having me here today.
Absolutely. Well, I'm very curious. What is United Healthcare doing to expand affordable health coverage options for North Carolina small businesses?
We are working to expand access to level funded plans by educating small businesses, brokers, and policymakers on the shortfalls in the current coverage options across the state.
Now, what is a level funded plan and why does that matter?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So a level funded plan provides the predictability of a fully insured plan arrangement, along with some flexibility, some cost saving opportunities, as well as protection from high cost claimants through stop loss coverage. These plans are terrific for all businesses that purchase them because in addition to the predictability and affordability, there's also some data that comes with it, data insights that tell the business owner where healthcare claim dollars are being spent.
Now, how does this help North Carolina small businesses and the overall healthcare system in the state?
Yeah, so when more small businesses can offer affordable and comprehensive coverage to their employees, we have more insured individuals across the state. That helps us build healthier communities, it bolsters the economy, and it lessens the burden of uncompensated care at the healthcare systems across the state.
So, Lori, I know that United Healthcare has been having some conversations with the General Assembly about this issue. What specifically are you pursuing? What changes are needed?
Well, today, the North Carolina law prohibits employers with 12 or fewer employees from purchasing level funded plans. Last year, the House unanimously voted to actually lower that threshold to 5. So what we need to have happen now is the Senate needs to pass Senate Bill 218, which would ensure that level funded plans are available to employers with 5 or more employees. It's better for the economy, it's better for competition, and it's better for North Carolinians across the board.
Lori Mandel, thank you so much for taking time. Good information for the health insurance agents out there. We really appreciate you being a part of this week's Raleigh Report by being the subject of the iHeal Minute.
Thanks for having me, Joe.